The 693rd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMASGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing the college football and NFL seasons with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hi, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 692, question mark, 693 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Jeremiah Turner, 1701, who says we smashed it last weekend. He said we. I didn't really smash much last weekend.
You are right. You are all right.
Actually, I smashed in the UFC. That's right.
Yeah.
Gumby's been smashing it in every promotion around. So thank you, Jeremiah, and thank you, all of you, for tuning in today for the second half of our UFC Vegas 100, a celebration of the UFC Apex going down this Saturday. This is the second half where we're doing the main card and the fancy dancy plays. I'm Big Body Jeff Fox, one of your hosts. The other host will be Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Yesterday we covered the 7 prelim fights, total agreement except for one fight. One fight split us apart. We'll see how we do today. We got 5-fight main card, and some of these lines, as I was saying yesterday, are getting kind of out of control, Gumby.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy. Also, I want to give an honorary shout out. You know how I like doing that.
You do.
Honorary self shout out to Howdy Pal, who I feel like I've done that to multiple times.
Oh, yeah, Howdy Pal. That's right. I forgot about that.
He won a whole bunch of money, tailing a bunch of my picks from last week, and then bought some SGPN merch and told our bosses we were great. How do we not dedicate an episode to him?
Exactly.
I told our
forgot
bosses we were wonderful. And that's really all we want in life. So shout out Howdy Pal.
Yeah. If you want to get into good books, tell our bosses that we're awesome. It's
buy some of our gear, tell our bosses you only did it because of us, and get us some credit. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't, and you wouldn't be telling a lie either. So everyone wins. So we lost our co-main event, as we mentioned yesterday. It was Cody Garbrandt versus Miles Johns. Garbrandt pulled out. Did we hear why he pulled out?
I don't know. It's Cody Garbrandt. What even?
It needs another neck tattoo. Maybe he found a piece of skin.
Last I knew he was selling bulldogs or pit bulls.
Oh, great, perfect. Anyhow, and maybe he got bit. Anyhow. Miles Johns, as of this recording, does not have another opponent. So we have a new co-main event, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, co-main eventing in the year 2024. So anyhow, we're going to have some fun with this guy.
And in 2024, you still can't say your last name correctly.
I know. Kowalkiewicz. Why do I do that every time? It's so stupid. And for lovers of female MMA, we have 2 female MMA fights on here. Actually, they should be good. Hopefully, people like to rag on female MMA, but
you get a Canadian too.
Yes, I'm not one of those people. Yeah, she moved to Florida pretty young, but the Canadian flag is still beside her name.
Can we still love her because of her Dean Thomas connection?
We can, of course. You got to love that guy. Cool. Before we move on, we also love the college basketball and the college basketball experience. College basketball is back, and if you aren't already, please make sure you subscribe to the College Experience for the daily picks podcast, breaking it all down. And thanks as always for tuning into our show, the MMA Gambling Podcast. If you can head over to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating, that would help us out greatly, because only you can help prevent corporate gambling from taking over. Now we're going to take over UFC Vegas 100, aka UFC Fight Night. Who's fighting Magny versus Prates in the UFC Apex. We have 4 p.m. for the prelims, so probably 7, I would guess, for the main card. 5-fight main card, and we're kicking things off with a women's fight. Women's strawweights, Luana Pinheiro from Brazil, Gillian Robertson from Canada, 3 5-minute rounds. We are going to kick things off with Pinheiro first, 11-3, 2 knockouts, 5 submissions. She's been knocked out once, submitted once, 3-2 in the UFC. She has lost 2 straight, both via finish. 1-0 on Contender Series, more active landing strikes than Robertson. Has been outstruck in the UFC by 0.6 strikes per minute, plus 310. The Savage, Gillian Robertson from Canada, 14-8, 2 knockouts, 9 submissions. Knocked out once, submitted once. 11-6 in the UFC. She has won 2 straight and 4 or 5. Used to fight up at flyweight, missed weight before at strawweight, so keep an eye on that. 0-1 the Ultimate Fighter, 5-4 in pro grappling. 3 inches height, 1 inch of reach over Pinheiro, 3 years younger. Better grappling stats. Has been outstruck in the UFC by 0.13 strikes per minute, minus 350. Give me Robertson here. The golden couple, Pinheiro and Matthias Nicolau, have come upon hard times. Nicolau just got cut, and you got to think if Pinheiro loses this, she's probably out the door as well. And I think she will lose this. Robertson has looked very good recently. She seems to be rounding out her game. Never going to be a very good striker, but when you got the grappling like she has, you probably don't have to be a really good striker. You just have to survive on the feet until you can get it to the ground. So give me the Savage at minus 350.
Yeah, I think she's rounding out her game striking wise too. She's looked better as of late. Not great. Like she's still not going to beat people there, but she's going to get them to back up enough that she can hit her takedowns if she needs to. And I think that's the thing here too, is she's going to hit her takedowns. Her grappling game's good enough to beat Pinheiro. Like we've seen good moments from Pinheiro, right? Like that Randa Marcos fight was good right until she got the DQ victory and, faked getting kicked in the, well, she didn't fake getting kicked in the head, but she like laid it on thick, right? Like I'm remembering that, right? She's the one who took Marcos down and ate a up kick.
Maybe two Canadians though. I should remember that, right? No, sorry. Yeah. You're talking about Pinheiro. I think she was the one.
And then she like really leaned into it, I think. If I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, like she looked good grappling in that fight, but like that was also like a kind of past her prime Randa Marcos who seemed like she was kind of out the door. And Robertson is like, I know she's been around forever and we've been on her and off her and on her again and off her again. And
Gumby, come on.
But she's so young, right? Like she's still.
I know you shouldn't be saying those things. You shouldn't hear what you just said.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You know what I mean from a betting sense.
Oh, yes, it's true.
Yeah. Yes, correct. In like, for me, I like, she's still young and developing as a fighter. And I don't think that like we should overlook the fact that her hands are coming around slowly and that like, hopefully Dean Thomas has brought in the right people to keep her progressing in that way. So yeah, give me Gillian Robertson. I still believe that she's going to keep getting better. And I think her grappling's already good enough to win this fight. Which
just proves she's not really a Canadian because Gumby took her. So he's not fading a Canadian here. All right. We're moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to hopefully some more fun jokes. Middleweight fight. Gerald Meerschaert from the United States of America. Reinier de Ridder from the Netherlands. From Dutch. That would be a dumb person thing to say. I would never say that. Now, 3 5-minute rounds, 185. De Ridder, the Dutch Knight, versus GM3 Meerschaert. We'll tell you about GM3 or the Machine, which I prefer. Gerald Meerschaert, no shade on our Machine, Munaf. This Machine is 37-17. 3-7-1-7. So 54 fights under his belt. 6 knockouts, 29 submissions. He's been knocked out 4 times, submitted 8 times, 12-9 in the UFC. He's lost 2 straight before that. He won 2 straight before that. He lost 2 straight. Past 2 wins, both via submission. No surprise there. Regional champion, used to fight at light heavyweight. 2007 pro MMA debut. Gumby hit him at how much?
I mean, which one are we talking about?
It's true, multiple times. The first time was like plus 300 or 400, I think.
I mean, years ago. I think the subline was +6 when he tapped Muradov, which, by the way, you had Muradov, your favorite fighter.
That's true. Yeah, that was back in the olden days of the podcast. So he made it onto the Mount Rushmore. He's only plus 240 at this point, but that's not counting the submission prop. Who is this?
Submission prop 600, by the way. I already looked at it.
Don't worry. I know. More on that to come. De Ridder is the Dutch Knight. 17-2, 4 knockouts, 11 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. This is his debut. He's gone 1-2 over his last 3. He got 1 in his last fight via TKO. 7-2 in 1 championship and a 2 division champion there. So he's taking a step down now to the UFC. He used to fight at 205 and at 225. They had a cruiserweight division there. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. 2013 pro MMA debut. 0-1-1 in pro grappling. A 2-time silver medalist in the BJJ. 2 inches of height, 2 inches of reach over Meerschaert, 3 years younger. Minus 275. I know who you're taking, Gumby.
You don't. I'm taking Reinier de Ridder.
No, don't.
Yeah, I really wanted to take Meerschaert, and I even went back and watched a bunch of de Ridder's fights and was like, where is he susceptible to being submitted?
Yeah,
he's not is the problem. It's like he's so good at jiu-jitsu, and his top control is really good. And I think perhaps the worst thing for Meerschaert here is I know he has A, the cardio, and B, the wrestling, that he never has to grapple Meerschaert if he doesn't want to. I think he could force this fight to be entirely on the feet and just piece up Meerschaert. And that to me, it sucks because like I would love to see these two grapple. Like I really hope this turns into a grappling match. I think Meerschaert is live if it does turn into a grappling match, especially with his sub prop at 600. You know, DeRieder, he did stick his head basically into a guillotine once from Malkin, but he like stayed calm and got himself out against like a very high level, you know, like essentially a heavyweight. You know, like and for me, if he can do that against Malkin, I think he can do that against Meerschaert. And also, like to the point I made before, he was fearing Malkin's hands. He doesn't have to with Meerschaert. Like he can just stand and trade with him and probably be the better fighter. It pains me to not pick Gerald Meerschaert because I chronically pick Gerald Meerschaert as an underdog here. Mm-hmm. And I just, the more I watched DeRieder, the more I couldn't get around to it. So I'm going to go with Reinier DeRieder here.
Yeah, I am too. I did have Meerschaert. I did have him via submission as one of the props. But yeah, that's just the Dutch thing. Me thinking, oh, he's a kickboxer, but no, DeRieder
is so good.
Yep, he's a grappler. So and we make fun of one, but it's not like he's been fighting the small regional scene. He's fought a bunch of pretty good fighters as well. And you know, it's not like Meerschaert's a world beater. He pulls off a surprise win every once in a while, but I think I'm going to have to go DeRieder as well. And you think he's got a future here in the UFC at all?
You know, I think the problem is he's coming over to the UFC a little too old in having taken a couple of semi-ugly losses that he's trying to rebound from. And like, I don't know, middleweight's terrible.
It's true.
There's outside of Kamzat, there's really no grappling dominance there. I mean, like, I guess Kai Bohio has like, you know, he's not, I wouldn't call him just like a grappler straight up because he went in there and he outboxed, who'd he outbox there? Jared Cannonier. But like DeRieder is more of like a specialist in that way. And I'd say he's like more well-rounded than Gerald. He profiles like a better striking version of Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah.
Like a more well-rounded version of Gerald Meerschaert, which is like, that could be dangerous. Yeah. You know, like that could, you know, like that's it's like Paul Craig if he could strike. That's, you know, that can be really dangerous in certain divisions. Do I think he's a champ? No, I don't think he's a champ, but you know, I think he could make some runs.
Yep. All right. Good to know. We'll see how he looks in this debut. Before we move on, Underdog Fantasy, we got to tell you about. Underdog Pick'em is one of the biggest menus for all sports. They got NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, hooray, NBA, NASCAR, and more. Check out all their boosts because now you can use their specials and their boosts on all your flexed entries. Gumby, do you have a play for us? Flexed or non-flexed?
Flexed or non-flexed? You know I'm always flexing. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Thursday Night Football. We've got we got Munaf Manji, the aforementioned Munaf Manji,
yes.
Texans in action with the bang-up wide receiver core here. I'm gonna take the higher than on Tank Dell's receiving yards. Give me Tank Dell for a big day.
Another tank in the NFL. I haven't heard of this tank, but there was that other tank that used to always get in trouble in the olden days. There was a tank that would always get arrested and stuff.
I only know Tank Abbott.
Yeah, there's a guy called Tank Abbott too in the good old days of the I can't remember who I'm thinking of. It doesn't matter. So maybe it's not a tank. Maybe it's another. Maybe it's the aircraft carrier I'm thinking of. Who's to say? What I do know is you should sign up with our code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. I'm really good at making football bets, though, amazingly. Like, I'm surprised by it. I'm like, whoa.
For a guy who's like, I don't know who Tank Dell is. Look at this guy mowing
Surprisingly, I'm like,
you know, that's what happens when you download Rhythm.
It's true.
You get all the insights.
And I'm also good at another thing I hate, which would be parlays. I'm killing it in parlays, too. So who's to say? All these years I've been missing out on all this money. All right, let's move on to third from the top already. It's a bantamweight fight. Ricky Turcios, Benardo Sopaj. Turcios is from, I want to say United States, but really he's from a different galaxy, right? He's from some other planet.
He's from a different galaxy.
Andromeda or somewhere. The Lion King, Benardo, is Sopaj is from Sweden. And these guys are fighting at bantamweight. I'm going to tell you about Space Cadet himself, Turcios. 12-4, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once, submitted once, 2-2 in the UFC, loss over his last 3, got submitted his last fight, 2-0 the Ultimate Fighter and the champion, regional champion as well, 0-1 in Contender Series, 1-0 in Bellator, used to fight at featherweight, 2013 pro MMA debut, 3 inches height, 5 inches reach over Sopaj. Better striking stats, more active landing strikes, and he's outstruck his UFC opponents by 1.29 strikes per minute. He's at plus 280. Sopaj, the Lion King, 11-3, 7 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 0-1 in the UFC. He's won 3 of his last 4. Lost the last 5 via TKO. He has welcome regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Use fight at flyweight, 7 years younger than Turcios. Has been outstruck in the UFC by 1.5 strikes. Better grappling stats than Turcios, minus 340. I can't take Turcios the way he's been looking. Give me Sopaj, even though this is a massive line for a guy who hasn't won in the UFC.
Yeah, but he's really good. I mean, like, you watch his lone fight in the UFC. Do you remember who he fought?
No.
He fought a podcast favorite in his debut on short notice.
Jordan Williams.
No, Lock Dog.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He fought Lock Dog on short notice, and he took the first round off of him. Because he's low-key really explosive when it comes to wrestling. And that's like not even where he's his best, in my opinion. Like when he throws his hands, like he's really explosive with his striking. Good leg kicks, was like hanging with Lock Dog on the feet until started to like tire out a little bit, which I mostly just attribute to it being short notice and it being Lock Dog, who has like one of the most insane gas tanks I've ever seen. Yeah. And so like that was unfortunate for him, but now that he's got a full training camp, he's fighting Ricky Turcios, a guy who I think is going to be, obviously easier to control than Lock Dog and much less threatening on the feet, because Turcios sometimes just comes out and he like doesn't look really interested in throwing a lot of strikes. We saw that in the Ayman Zahabi loss, which granted that aged well, but like he didn't look like he even wanted to fight in that fight. And like his 2 wins are split decisions, because like even when he wins, he doesn't look great. Yeah, I think Sopaj here is the pick.
Well, good. That makes me feel better. Feel better with the pick. All right, let's move on. Very chalky, but this has been a chalky year. They're up to favorites are 69% hit rate this year, so it's
nice.
Hasn't been. Oh yes, nice. I missed that one. Go figure. But yeah, it hasn't been a very good year for the dogs. Let's go to the co-main event. Maybe we got a dog here. We'll see. Karolina, what's her last name, Gumby?
Kowalkiewicz.
It should be spelled like that. Karolina Kowalkiewicz from Poland. Apparently, I've discovered that Polish names are one of my kryptonites. Denise Gomes from Brazil. 3 500 rounds. That's strawweight. That's our co-main event. Oh boy. Our main event or co-main event, the smallest favorite is minus 480. So yeah, very competitive on paper. Double K, Kowalkiewicz is 16-8, 1 knockout, 3 submissions, but knocked out once, submitted twice. 9-8 in the UFC, 4-1 over her last 5. She did lose her last fight. She had a run there, crazy. Came back and won 4 straight. Now they're feeding her nothing but young prospects. She used to fight at flyweight, was KSW champion, 2012 pro MMA debut. An inch of height, an inch of reach over Kowalkiewicz, but more active landing strikes than her. She's outstruck her opponents by 0.16 strikes per minute in the UFC, plus 390. DEE Gomes, 9-3 with 6 knockouts. She's been knocked out once. 3-2 in the UFC. 3-1 over her last 4. Won her last fight. 1-0 Contender Series. Used to fight at flyweight and bantamweight. 1-0 in Invicta. 14 years younger than Kowalkiewicz. Yikes. She's outstruck her opponents by 1.36 strikes per minute in the UFC and Contender Series. She has better grappling stats than Kowalkiewicz, and she is at minus 480. Yikes.
What was that in the background while you were reading that? Did you hear that?
I heard your chair squeak and my dog's bark. Oh, what?
No. The dogs are barking. Yes.
You're just
I'm taking Karolina Kowalkiewicz. No. Hear me out on this one. Karolina Kowalkiewicz was on a 4-fight winning streak before she went in there and fought a close fight with Yasmin Lucindo.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I think is already better than Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes, who is she beat? She beat Eduardo Mora, who came out and looked like she had no interest in fighting a boxing match in that fight. And that was still a split decision. She went out and who did she knock out in like 2 seconds? Like you want to count that. That's true. She knocked some people out really quick. But when you put her up in competition against a grizzled veteran who's going to stay away from the bomb, who can control you, who can wrestle, who can strike a bit, like they did when she fought Angela Hill, she looked like a fish out of water. She looked like she had no idea what to do. All she was doing was uncorking on big overhand rights, largely missing because Angela Hill stayed out of range, and then getting clinched up against the cage and worn out. Kowalkiewicz literally did that to people for 4 fights in a row before she narrowly lost to Yasmin Lucindo. This is the type of fight that Denise Gomes loses. The step up in competition, the tougher veteran, and it's the type of fight that Karolina Kowalkiewicz has been winning her whole career. She's been winning these fights where somebody tries to step up and make their name off of her, and she's not easy to knock out. She's not somebody who goes out there and gets her head ripped off. So, like, give me Kowalkiewicz. I think she tires her out. I think we see a mixture of grappling and wrestling and just staying away of the big overhand right. And I think she beats her soundly 30-27.
Whoa, that's very. But put your money where your mouth is with that one. Yeah, obviously
I'm gonna wait until fight time when she's plus 475.
I'm taking Denise Gomes. Obviously, I don't like a line this high, but yeah, she's Kowalkiewicz had her run. And now she's
just now losing. She had it. She's having it now.
but now that they're feeding her young people, she lost her last fight. Now she's 39. Gumby.
She beat 2 young people before that, did she not? Who are the 2 people she fought before Lucindo?
Maybe. There's levels to the youngness, though. there's good young, and then there's just
Belbicha, Vanessa Demopoulos, who is ranked.
Yeah,
Vanessa
Demopoulos is a good win. The other ones are not. So anyhow, Denise Gomes is my pick here. All right,
Silvana Gomez Juarez is the other one.
Yeah, that's
that's a less good one.
Good win there.
That's a less good.
All right, let's talk about rhythm. Gumby's just looking for dogs. Is what all it is here. Even though he sold it pretty hard there though.
That's a good one.
And my dog was in cahoots with you. You tipped her off. You tipped her off, and so she started barking.
Did you like that setup? I like when it dawned on you. That was my favorite part.
She just barks at everything. Anything that she owns the street, so anything that goes by the house, there she goes again. All right, let me tell you about Rhythm, ladies and gentlemen. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money line, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. And Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app. And Rhythm just launched their college basketball models. Get in there, check out the Al Horford NBA props, and claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RTHMM. The bosses haven't asked why I keep mentioning Al Horford in the ad read, which is good. So Rhythm would be like, what is this Al Horford? Was that in the ad read? Is that in the copy?
We do love Al Horford.
We do. BetUS. We also love BetUS. We are brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. Long pause. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. US players are always welcome. That's nice of them. Check out the MMA lines and go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN. So they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. To the main event. Will Gumby go crazy again? My dog was just barking, so you never know.
Am I betting against the fighting nerd? Is that what you're asking?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. He's one of the guys that puts on the nerdy glasses after. Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates, US versus Brazil. Gatekeeper versus up-and-comer who really isn't as young as you think. 5-minute rounds at 170 pounds. The gatekeeper would be the Haitian sensation Neil Magny. A tough puzzle. He's 29-12. 8 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted 6 times. 22-11 in the UFC. Loss. TKO loss in his last fight. I guess he's due for a win then. He's fed at middleweight, 3-1 on the Ultimate Fighter, 2010 pro MMA debut. 2 inches height, 2 inches reach over Prates. Better grappling stats than Prates. Has been outstruck. Oh, sorry, he has outstruck his UFC opponents by 0.96 strikes per minute, plus 550. The Nightmare, Carlos Prates. 20-6, 20-6. 15 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted 3 times. 3-0 in the UFC. He's won 10 straight, 9 straight via TKO. 1-0 on Contender Series, regional champ. 2-1 in the Ultimate in one championship, the biggest promotion in the world. 2012 pro MMA debut. 2-0 in kickboxing. 0-1 in Muay Thai. 6 years younger than Magny. More active landing strikes than Magny. He's been outstruck in the UFC, but it doesn't matter when you hit like he does by 0.31 strikes per minute. Minus 750. Another the main event, co-main event, the lines have gone out of control over the past couple of days, but Prates is still my pick here. He's a nightmare. I know Magny is a tough guy to fight and tends to win every other fight, so he is due. But yeah, Prates is what his nickname says, a nightmare, especially an older fighter who is taking a lot of lumps over his career. It's going to be a bad matchup.
Yeah, well, and the thing I like about Prates, and I know I said this in his last fight too, but the thing I like best about Prates is he like downloads information like almost nobody in the UFC does. Like it's very, and I don't want to put him on a pedestal yet, but it's very like Alex Pereira-esque, where he just like lets you strike for a little bit just so he can see what you're doing. And then as soon as he's got a good read on what you're doing, he hits you with the meanest counter he possibly can, or sets you up to like eat a dig to the body or something. And like with Magny being as, old as he is and kind of predictable as he is, and, striking is not his favorite thing in the world to do. Like he's going to walk into something, I think. And Prates hits so damn hard, whether it's to the body or to the head or whatever way he chooses to finish Neil Magny. I think you're going to see a pretty quick finish here. If you're looking for an avenue to make this profitable and you're not in on the negative 750 money line here, the move for me is just like maybe just watch the first, and like Magny might win the first because Prates is downloading information, especially in a 5-round fight. You might get that down into a more manageable range there, and then you can make some money off of Prates then.
What a nerd downloading information, eh? He's such a fighting nerd, this guy.
Nerds, baby.
All right, recap, then we get you more plays here. Both have Prates. I have Gomes. He has double K. Kowalkiewicz, because I think you only picked her, so I'd have to say her name again. I think that's the trick. Sopaj, De Ritter, Robertson. We're on all of those people. We seem to always be one fight off that we disagree on each episode. All right, locks, dogs, props, parlays. I think it's your turn to go first this week.
I'm gonna kick it off with, for my lock, who do I like here? I'll go Cortavius Romeus. I've been shopping around a couple of places. Sopaj's number kind of got out of hand. Originally, that was one I was kind of in on. The money seems to be coming in on him pretty heavily. So I'll go Cortavius Romeus. I think he's going to out-grapple Gaston Bolianos really badly.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. This is a pretty bad week for betting lines.
You're going to have to look props pretty heavily here or get in on a couple of dogs in order to make this a big weekend for you.
Or hit a whole bunch of all of your
chalky parlay.
Yeah. Someone did do that recently, right? And regional, I think, and they hit big thanks to Gumby. Yeah. Give me Mullins, even bigger lock than Gumby, but more in-depth preview of that on yesterday's episode. But yeah, she looked pretty good in her first UFC fight, or her second UFC fight, excuse me, and her first one for that matter. And she's fighting a newcomer with really slow striking who has really poor experience. So yeah, Mullins.
So I already know your dog because you only got one.
I only have one. Yes. You have what, 3?
I got 3. I'm gonna go Kowalkiewicz. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is on this one. Yep. I believe in her. I think this is the type of fight Denise Gomes loses. And I think this is a great spot at plus 390.
Would be a good story. She's delightful, and it would be nice if she won, but not when I pick against her. Trocoli obviously is my dog. He's my only dog this week, sadly. Yeah,
and for my prop, I'm actually going to double down. I'm not, I know that used to be your move.
Yeah,
it's my move this week. I'm going to take Cortavius Romeus' submission line plus 200, minus 200 on the money. I think he gets him down. I think he finds a sub, plus 200 on the sub line.
Denise Gomes is going to knock out Karolina. Plus 300 for Denise Gomes TKO. So cute. Gumby are going against him. We're going at it. Romeus, Mullins are the locks. Kowalkiewicz, excuse me. I'm still doing it. Trocoli. I've seen all of her fights too in the UFC. Trocoli are the dogs. Romeus, sub, Gomes, TKO are the props. All right. Hungry Man Jog Superfan Parlay. The round robin. Is it coming back? It didn't. Exactly.
I couldn't find enough that I like this week. I really wanted to get down on it. It didn't do good last week, candidly. So we're back to the old Hungry Man Jong. Maybe I'll try to cook something up when I can see some better lines in here. I like a couple of KO props, and I'm actually just going to borrow your 2 fighters off of your lock and your dog. I'm going to start with Melissa Mullins' KO prop. I mentioned on yesterday's episode. I think she's infinitely a better striker, and I think we're going to even see her with some top game. A TKO finish here would not surprise me. You can get her at plus 600 on the TKO line, which I thought was kind of crazy. I know women's finishes, not a ton of them, but she's got 6 wins in her career, and 3 of them are inside the distance with the hands. So 50% of her fights, she's winning by KO, and I can get her at plus 600 at it against a newcomer with bad competition. And then the other KO prop, like I said, I'm going to take Antonio Tricoli. I know he's got way more submissions than KOs in his career, but when you watch him box with Shara Bullet and you consider, maybe just like how hittable Tresean Gore is, I kind of feel like he's going to buck his submission trend here and get the KO. It's plus 800 on the knockout for Tricoli, which seemed kind of crazy to me. And so if I take those two knockout props, 600 and 800, you're going to get 62-1.
All right. 62-1. We shall take that. All right. You're all set for this weekend. And apparently there's UFC next week as well, Gumby. Is this really going to happen? John Jones.
Oh, is it that happening?
Yeah. See,
that's how little I'm anticipating it. Is I was like,
me too. I guess I think it's not going to happen.
That fight. I mean, the way Stipe's talking about it, Stipe's coming.
Yeah.
Stipe is like, I don't really care if you guys think Tom Aspinall should have this fight. He was like, clearly more people want to see me fight. And it's like, no, just clearly Dana White wants to see you fight, bro. Like,
it's weird how John Jones is the golden boy now, right? They'll do anything, and he's trying to get his only loss erased.
Fresh off of his anger management ruling.
Yeah, God. Yeah. I'm gonna have to pick against him. He's not gonna be mad enough from the fight. So anyhow, that's next week. The big November return to Madison Square Garden. So Madison Square Garden cards used to be massive cards, but yeah, looking at this one, we got Eric Anders on the pay-per-view portion versus Chris Weidman. Gumby.
I mean, that's just because Weidman sells well in the New York area.
Viviana Araujo, Paul Craig is on the. I guess we like him.
Paul Craig versus Bo Nichols, kind of sick. I kind of love that fight.
We used to get three title fights on these MSG cards, but anyhow, UFC doesn't care. So that's how it proves that we don't either, because we didn't even know what was happening. Anyhow, that before that, we're gonna have a whole bunch of regional next week. I haven't even looked at the regional calendar. Do we have any? Okay, we'll figure it out. 3 regional events starting Sunday for you, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then the UFC back Wednesday, Thursday next week. In the meantime, the Discord will be where we shall be. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. YouTube, YouTube. That's the thing I'm trying to say. MMA Gambling Podcast. You can hit us up in the comments there. You can hit us up on Twitter. Gumby runs our account at SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm a Jeff Fox writer. Jeff Fox writer on Instagram as well. Now that we told you who's going to win, make sure you enter my pick'em contest on my Substack for the UFC, moneymma.substack.com. Listen to Gumby's Top Turtle MMA podcast. He has a couple LFA fighters on it. Are they both fighting at this week's event?
Yeah, they're both fighting Friday. Stav Corin and Christian Natividad, both very exciting lighter weight fighters, and both have exorbitant numbers next to their names in terms of the betting.
Oh yeah. Future UFC fighters?
I think so. Yeah, both of them. And in fact, one of them I talked to about whether or not he might be interested in being on the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, there you go. So check out Top Turtle MMA Podcast. And of course, check us out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Gumby and I have articles up there every day, as well as the rest of the staff, of course. And where else? You can catch us sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. You can't catch us there, but you can catch our gear there. So you can dress cool like us. And of course, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to get some bonus content. Gumby, get us out of here until Sunday.
All right. I'm Daniel Gumby Vreeland. He's let's go with Galaxy Brain Jeff Fox. And we will see you on Sunday.